New York Comic-Con was this past weekend, and we've got some great updates to talk about in today's video. Creature Commandos got a brand new trailer and some details about the series and what we can expect. And James Gunn himself shares some new updates for the Green Lantern, Superman, Peacemaker, Supergirl, and even shares some insight on how the DCEU is canon to the DCU. But first, welcome back to my channel, where once a week I like to talk to you all about the latest and greatest news in the DC universe. And like I said up top, the DCU had a presence at New York Comic-Con this past weekend. We got a lot to discuss, but before we get into it, thank you for clicking on today's video. If you like this type of content, make sure you hit that thumbs up, share your thoughts about all the things we're going to be talking about today. What are you most excited to see from what we'll be discussing in today's video? But also consider sharing this video. And look, if you enjoy this type of content, if you like what I have to offer, consider sticking around by subscribing to the channel. With all that being said, let's talk about what was said at New York Comic-Con this past weekend. Let's kick things off and talk about the trailer for Creature Commandos. So let's talk about this trailer, and the first thing that comes to mind as I was watching this is like, well, this looks very much like the Suicide Squad, and guess what? It is, which is okay with me because they basically say it in the first 10 seconds of the trailer.
The United States is in the business of saving the damn world by any means necessary. Said we can't use human prisoners. These aren't human.
Is it? What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
I'm past looking at this as a copy and paste version of Suicide Squad, but instead a new version, but with literal monsters and Rick Flag Sr. being involved. I'm really vibing with the character designs and the animation and the tone and the violence that they have to offer. Which, speaking to the violence, I don't know, let me know how you all feel about this in the comments, but there's something about violence and animation that just speaks to my soul, and I just have such a good time watching. Like, this reminds me a lot of Invincible on Amazon Prime, where again, it has some lightheartedness, it has some jokes, and has some levity, but it also gets pretty badass. I'll be honest, I'm slightly familiar with some of these characters, but honestly, I'm fairly new to the whole team in general. But speaking of this team, which includes Rick Flag Sr., Nina Magursky, Dr. Phosphorus, Eric Frankenstein, The Bride, G.I. Robot, and Weasel. And James Gunn has come out and said that the lead of this team will be the Bride. And of course, we know we've seen characters like Waller and Weasel and Flag's son, Rick Flag Jr., previously, who appeared in the Suicide Squad. So like I said, a lot of these characters are kind of new to me. Like, I'm familiar with some of them, but like someone like The Bride, this is my first time seeing The Bride in a DC context, and based on the trailer, like, she looks pretty badass. Like, she has like a sense of humor, she can handle her own, and she has like an interesting backstory, what appears to be in the trailer, which, by the way, we obviously know they're taking inspiration with The Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein being in the series, so I'm familiar with some of that lore, but I'm sure they're going to switch it up. But she looks like she's going to be awesome. Again, she will be leading this team of monsters in this TV series. But what I'm really excited to see are the villains that were shown in this trailer. First off, we have Cersei, who's a very big villain in the world of Wonder Woman. And then we have this awesome shot of showing Rick Flag Sr. going against Clayface, who we know is one of the Batman villains. So that is just super awesome to me because, number one, I'm a fan of these characters individually, but what I'm really excited about is this is the first DCU project, which means that these are characters in the DCU, which means that they have interacted respectively to their counterparts. So Cersei has probably had a run-in with Wonder Woman, so she might be referenced to in this series or might make a cameo, who knows? But then the Clayface of it all, as you all can see, and I've spoken about it in previous videos of my DC coverage, Batman's my guy. I'm a huge Batman fan. I really enjoy the Clayface lore and the mythology of that character, so I'm assuming that the Batman in the DCU, who we all know will be making their live action debut in The Brave and the Bold, and they're going to be somewhat of a older Batman with the son and having Damon and all that stuff, so I'm assuming that Clayface has had a run-in with Batman, which again just speaks to the fact that this is a world of fantastical, weird, and comic book lore, and I'm just imagining seeing both of these characters like a Clayface possibly coming up into live action and fighting against Batman himself, which to me is just dope as hell. Now, some other things that we learned about the series is that each episode will center around a different member of the team, as James Gunn described it as a dark show, but it's also hilarious but never goofy, and he also talks about it is very sentimental and will have some adult and political themes throughout the series. As he also mentions that he was influenced by the classic Universal monsters. He also mentions that this will be a very rated R series. Again, it's going to have a funny and filthy tone. And as far as the team's concerned, they got some inspiration from also films like The Dirty Dozen as well as The A-Team. Now, James also has come out and compared this series to his version of Suicide Squad, but also his version of the Guardians of the Galaxy. But he did say that the Creature Commandos is less sentimental than the Guardians of the Galaxy due to the different morale alliances of each team. So look, I'll be honest, when they first announced Creature Commandos as the first thing from the DCU, and when they dropped the first teaser, when I heard a little bit about it, I'm like, I wasn't overly excited for it. Like, I like James Gunn. I was slightly familiar with some of the characters from the show, but I wasn't, again, overly excited. But after seeing this trailer, after hearing some things about the TV series and the characters and the tone and what they're going for, and obviously seeing the violence in the trailer, which, by the way, if you want to see the full panel of not just Creature Commandos, but everything that James Gunn had to say about the future of the DCU, I will be leaving that link to that video in the description of this very video. But again, after seeing and hearing all this, I'm pretty excited about Creature Commandos, and I'll say this, I'm going to watch it regardless because I'm a big DC fan, and I'm excited to learn more about these characters, and also knowing that this is the first project in DCU, so we're going to probably have some connective tissues to the future, and when there's probably going to be some name drops of Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman and Justice League, because it will be taking place in present time. I'm going to be there day one watching this series, but depending on you guys' excitement, and if you're looking forward to it, I will probably do a week-to-week breakdown, depending on, I'm assuming this is going to be a week-to-week drop. I don't think they're going to drop it all at once, but I will be covering it. If you all are excited about the show, let me know your thoughts in the comments below about that, but also let me know your thoughts about the trailer, which again, I'll leave the full trailer in the description of this video. Let me know your thoughts about the characters we saw, which villains do you hope to see. Like, let's talk about Creature Commandos and your excitement level in the comments below. Now, switching gears and hear what James Gunn had to say about some upcoming projects in the DCU, starting off with the Green Lanterns.
Aaron Pierre, Kyle Chandler.
That's right. Well, Aaron Pierre is somebody who I've wanted to work together with for a long time. He's, people don't know, but he was almost Adam Warlock. He's an amazing actor, and I've just really admired him from the beginning of his career. And so when it got down to it, he was just fantastic. And seeing him read with Kyle was sort of one of those miraculous moments where you go, oh my God, I don't care what they're saying. I just love everything they're saying together. Another project that's been blessed from the beginning. It's a much more... it's a very grounded series, a very real series, which is strange to say in a Green Lantern show, but it's going to be something like nobody's ever seen before, and I can't wait for people to catch it on HBO when it comes out.
Listen, I am all in on the Green Lantern in this TV series. Like, I've made videos about this, talking about my excitement for Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan, as well as most recently, we have Aaron Pierre playing John Stewart. I'm getting psyched, man. And some other things that he mentioned in that panel was that this will be a more grounded series than we probably would imagine, obviously with the rings and how fantastical and how much of a intergalactic side of the DCU that will be in the show. But would it be in grounded? It makes sense, because as they did their comp, right, they were saying it's going to be Green Lanterns meets True Detective. So we know True Detective is very grounded in reality, and we know that that is a very awesome series to kind of compare it to. So I expect to get that groundedness, but also expect to get the more, like I said, kind of galactic side of this world and this universe. So I am just all in for this series. I can't wait till we get closer to when they're shooting and we get more about behind the scenes, the rest of the cast, and of course, probably sometime next year, maybe even next year's Comic-Con, we might get our first teaser, and I can't wait. Now, speaking of can't waiting, we also got an update from James Gunn talking about what we can expect from Superman, but in particularly what we can expect from the person playing Superman and David Corenswet.
David Corenswet is going to blow people the fuck away. Like,
Sexy.
He is the movie star that, that everyone just dreams he could possibly be. And I don't think anyone really understands the depth of this guy's talent. Dramatically, comedically, he's the best physical, action star I've probably ever worked with. He's an amazing actor, and Rachel Brosnahan, people are going to die for her as Lois. Eddie Gathegi is Mr. Terrific. So it's really been it's been a great process. Where the edit is getting really close to being good. I mean, the movie's good, so it's like I feel good about it, and it's I'm really hard on stuff. So it won't be too long before we see a trailer, but it's also not going to be too soon.
I am so ready for the Superman, y'all. Like, I've made videos about it before. We talked about Crypto the Dog Image last week, and everything he said just gets me excited. Every time he talks about this movie, I'm getting more and more excited for it. I love what he had to say about David Cornsweet, because I was familiar with his work before he got casted. Like, I saw him in a show called Hollywood on Netflix, and I did a review on that. You can watch that review and find it on the channel. I said he looks like he could be Superman in this cast, starting off with some of those newcomers. I think of a David Cornsweet, maybe replacing Henry Cavill's Superman, and I can see that, but I'm team Henry Cavill for Superman. But anyway, I thought that he did a really good job, and I'm looking forward to see what he does in this his future. And here we are 4, 5, 6 years later, but he was great in that. He was in a show a couple years ago, maybe a year ago. It was an HBO series called We Own the Night. He had a small role, but he stood out. Of course, he was in Pearl, and he was in some other products. Like, he's a very capable actor, but to hear that he stepped up to be the leading man, to be Clark Kent, to be Superman, to be the Man of Steel, and then he's a great action hero. He has great sense of humor. He can kind of play to the levity of the character. I'm so excited. He also talked about we're going to fall in love with Lois Lane. Listen, the casting of the century to me is having Rachel Brosnahan playing Lois Lane. Like, I'm just as excited for her as I am for Clark Kent and Superman. He didn't mention anything about Nicholas Hoult, but I'm sure he has so many things going on in his mind. Like, I'm very excited to see his Lex Luthor. We're getting Justice League characters. Like, I am just so over the moon about this. He talked a little bit about where they are in the process. Like, they're in the middle of the editing process, and things are moving along really well for this movie. So that gets me excited. And I just love the attention to detail, man. Like, we didn't hear any behind the scenes drama with this film. It seemed like the shoot went really well, and I'm just loving the energy and the vibe that's going on with this film. And again, I'm anticipating a trailer, teaser at the very least by the end of this year, and then we'll probably get like a full-blown trailer come Super Bowl season, so early next year in February. So I'm here for Superman, man. Let me know what you all thought about what he had to say about Superman, what he had to say about the Green Lanterns, but he also had something to say about another super character in Supergirl, so check out this clip.
Tease about the story we're going to see for Supergirl on the big screen.
Well, we start shooting in England in January. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I just saw the screen test for Ruthie with Millie Alcock, who's playing Supergirl, and oh my God, I'm so excited. And and that's another project that's just been blessed from the beginning. Anna came in and she pitched the story to me of Supergirl, and it was just one of the best pitches I'd ever heard. It's very much based on Tom King's comic Woman of Tomorrow, and it's something I can't wait for people to see. I think it's a completely different, unique take on a superhero.
Very similar to Superman. This is yet another film I'm excited about. Greg Gillespie, I think he's such a fantastic director. Everything he's done, from Cruella, from I, Tonya, to even more recently with Pam and Tommy. Last year he did Dumb Money. He's a great director who really brings out these wonderful performances from his female leads. So I'm super excited for that. That will be filming the beginning of next year, and as what James Gunn said in that clip, things are moving along good with that. The writer and the director are on the same page. Obviously, we know Millie, who was in House of the Dragons, great. I am excited for Supergirl. I'm planning to read Woman of Tomorrow. Like, I'm vaguely familiar with that story. I haven't read it fully, but I'm familiar with some of the themes and some of the things that the character goes through. But I might wait because I don't want to get too much revealed. I want to kind of experience the film and then maybe read the comic later. So we'll see. But nonetheless, I'm excited for Supergirl. But let me know your thoughts about what that clip had to say. But let's hear what he had to say about a show that, listen, I thought Peacemaker and Suicide Squad, John Cena was great in the movie, but I'm like, does he need a TV show? And let me tell you, I think it was 2022 that the show came out. One of my favorite shows of that year. Surprised the hell out of me. So here's what James Gunn had to say about Peacemaker Season 2.
Yeah, Peacemaker we're shooting it now. I shot till late last night and then came in today for this. I have to go back and shoot on Monday. The new series has been going exceptionally well. John Cena has improved as an actor in a way that I have, honest to God, I have never seen anyone who has gotten so much better in such a short amount of time. We're having a great time shooting that, and it's a very different season of Peacemaker, very magical.
Listen, man, I'm a Peacemaker fan. I love John Cena. I honestly think when it comes to wrestlers turned actors, of course, you have The Rock, who will always be my guy, the most entertaining man in sports history. But you have, Dave Bautista. But listen, John Cena has carved out a pretty interesting career so far. And I think for me, his role in Peacemaker, especially in TV series, is probably the best work he's done so far. So to hear that he's even better in season 2 and to hear that it's going to be a magical time, like, I am super stoked for Peacemaker season 2, and I'm very curious to know, which we're going to talk about here in a second, like, what's going to carry over from season 1 into season 2 as far as that version being in kind of the outer rims of the DCEU and being kind of where the Suicide Squad was. So I'm very curious to know what carries over from season 1 to season 2, what new characters, what old characters are returning. So I'm here for Peacemaker, man. I'm hearing that that's another project that's going really well, has a great set of directors, including James Gunn himself. So I'm here for Peacemaker. Let me know what you all are hoping for season 2. But last but not least, James Gunn also talked about how there's going to be a connective tissue and canon between the DCEU and the DCU.
It's really, for me, it's all first and foremost about story. We don't want anybody coming to Creature Commandos and going, oh, you have to watch the Suicide Squad to understand what happened in Creature Commandos. Oh, you have to watch Peacemaker. We want people to be able to come in this totally blind, and they're totally excited by it. So there's nothing that isn't explained in the show itself. However, there are references to some other things that happened in the past, and those things then become canon in the DCU because we mention them in this show. You know, other things that have happened in the past and other media have still happened.
So when he talks about some headcanon, some references and things that took place in the past that will continue on in this world, I think it's pretty safe to assume that he's referring to someone like Blue Beetle. We already know that the actor has come out and said that his version of Blue Beetle will be coming to the DCU. Now, is that live action? Is that animated? That's yet to be revealed, but I'm assuming that they're referring to things like that. Also, just talked about Peacemaker. There's going to be obviously characters that we saw from season 1, Peacemaker being that, and also the team, and carrying someone over that narrative into season 2. And then also, of course, I talked about it earlier with the Creature Commandos with Rick Flag Sr. and Rick Flag Jr., that storyline carrying over. Obviously, we know, spoiler alert for Suicide Squad, Rick Flag Jr. died in that film, and that was something of the plots in season 1 of Peacemaker. And Frank Grillo, we know, has been casted as Rick Flag Sr., who's going to be looking for some vengeance for his son. So, again, I'm assuming, and there might be some other DCEU connections, but those are the 3 that come to mind. Blue Beetle, everything that went down with Peacemaker season 1, or at least some of those elements in the characters. And then, of course, having things like the Suicide Squad, like Rick Flag Jr. and Sr. making their way into this new canon. And again, there might be some other things that might carry over. Who knows? But I'm just so excited wrapping this video up because, again, we had a lot to talk about and a lot to get excited for. I am just, as a DC fan my entire life, and just being, you know, one of the best for this franchise and these series of characters that I've grown up loving. And it just seems like James Gunn has the proper amount of energy, his focus on how to set up this world, gods and monsters, how, like, I've always envisioned. That's what I love about DC. It's literally a world full of gods and monsters, and he's playing to that, which gets me so excited. I, again, wasn't looking forward necessarily to Creature Commandos. I am super stoked for that. I'm loving all the details from Superman. I can't wait to see more of what's coming with Supergirl. Super excited for Green Lanterns and everything else that we talked about, Peacemaker and everything else in between. I'm here for it, man. I can't wait till we get more news because come next year, it's going down, y'all. It's going down with Superman and, you know, all the other things that they'll probably announce. So listen, if you can't tell, I'm excited for it. I have no notes. I am very much looking forward to the future of the DCU because it's looking bright, y'all. It is looking bright. So that's going to be the end of this week's video. I'm dropping this a little bit earlier. Like I said, I normally do these on Saturdays, but again, since this happened, I don't want to wait too long because we might get some news throughout the week. So I'm going to be dropping this in the middle of the week, and then if something huge comes out in between now and Saturday, I might have another video for you all, so keep an eye out for that. But with all that being said, let me know your thoughts on everything we talked about in this video. What are you most excited for from what we heard from New York Comic-Con? What are your thoughts about the TV shows, the movies, the world coming together, the characters coming together, characters we've never seen in live action making their debut sooner rather than later? So let me know your thoughts about that all in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching this video. I love talking DC. I will be back sooner rather than later. So if you enjoyed this, hit the thumbs up, share the video. It means the world to me. I would love if you share this video, but also sharing your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy this type of content, you enjoy movie reviews, TV reviews, and everything in between, consider subscribing to the channel, hitting that bell notification. Don't forget that you all are awesome. Stay safe, and I'll catch you all on the next video.